back. It's been a little bit, but I just had to create a good plan about how I want to utilize this in my studying. So my plan is going to be after every full length to just work on a subject pertaining to my lowest section on the full length. Funny enough, my full length that I just took recently, Orgo, I actually only got one question wrong. So hopefully we can make it 0, but I want to move on to physics, so I'm probably going to try to get this book done in like the next 3 days. So chapter 1.3 is all about aldehydes and ketones. So the main difference between aldehyde and ketone is, again, aldehyde is going to be chain terminating, and then ketones can be found in the middle of the chain. Really the middle near the end, but obviously it will never be on the end, right? Even if you do something like this, right, this is still showing an aldehyde. So an aldehyde can never be a ketone can never be at the end, but an aldehyde can. So when we're naming an aldehyde, again, because all of chapter 1 is all about nomenclature. So remember that as you're going through these videos. So when we're naming aldehydes, we use the prefix al, okay? And then we keep the front the same like we've been doing in all of our stuff. Again, if you want to do this nomenclature video. So pretty simple. When you're naming an aldehyde, it's always going to use the prefix al. And then most of the times it will be your highest priority group. I would say most because I think there's one time where it's not. But for the most part, it will be your highest priority group. So when we're looking at some common names, we have formaldehyde and acetaldehyde. And these are used in also like different pathways. So these are definitely something I would commit to memory. These two, they're very important. So now when we're looking at ketones, again, like we talked about earlier, carbonyl group somewhere in the chain. So there's a time where it's the highest priority and when there's a time where it's not the highest. So when it's the highest priority, we're going to use the prefix ONE, okay, pentanone. But if it's not the highest, we actually use oxo. Now, we're actually going to go over the prefix for this one in the next video. But you should know that a ketone is not always the highest on your chain. Make sure that you know it can be named oxo or it can be named ONE. And then you can also sometimes see it as, some books will show it as, I think, keto. Okay. So make sure that you note that. Those are the two main differences between when you have it highest or lowest. And understanding this will help you draw molecules, or especially on the Mcat. Sometimes you will have to read a molecule. You need to know what it is, right? So if I'm reading something and I see it ends in a prefix al, bang, I know it's an aldehyde. If I read something and I see it ends with ONE, bam, I know it has a ketone, okay? So this is definitely something like this is the small, simple stuff, but then we can definitely do this on a bigger scale. And the whole point is you can understand this and then we could ramp it up and give you different molecules. But using the prefixes and then knowing an aldehyde is chain terminating should definitely be able to recognize one and recognize how to draw one. So next chapter is about the derivatives, of carboxylic acids. So that's going to be a pretty quick one. So we'll be on chapter 2 pretty soon.